In the far side of the galaxy, on a small glowing planet called Viora 7, an alien girl named Zara sat in her dark apartment. Her violet skin shimmered under the cold light, and her silver eyes watched the empty room. It had been weeks since her last roommate disappeared. She didn't talk about it. No one did. Zara opened her holotab and typed a message, looking for a roommate, private room, no drama, no questions. Respect the rules. She posted the ad on the Intergalactic Housing Forum and closed the device with a sigh. She didn't expect anyone interesting to respond. Maybe a quiet lizard man from planet Trion or a jelly blob species who wouldn't even speak. That's all she wanted: peace, silence, and someone who minded their own business. But the universe had other plans. The next day, there was a knock at her door. Zara blinked. No one ever came to her place unannounced. She walked slowly, her boots silent on the metal floor. The doorbell glowed red. She pressed the button, and the door slid open. There he stood, a young man with short brown hair, green eyes, and a backpack hanging from one shoulder. He smiled awkwardly. "Hi," he said. "I saw your ad." Zara stared at him, confused. "What are you?" He looked around, unsure. Human?" Her heart skipped a beat. "Impossible," she whispered. Everyone knew humans were gone. Vanished during the Great War, their home planet destroyed or lost. Some believed they went underground, some thought they were extinct. No one had seen one in over 50 years, and yet, here he was. "I'm Jake," he said. "Jake Miller. I need a place to stay." Zara didn't reply right away. Her mind raced. Was this a trap? A trick? Could he be dangerous? But he looked tired. Dust covered his clothes. His shoes were worn out. And those eyes, they didn't lie. Finally, she stepped aside. "Come in," she said. "But I have rules." Jake nodded quickly. "Okay, anything." She led him into the apartment. It was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, 1 shared kitchen, a bathroom, and 1 locked door at the end of the hallway. Jake noticed the door right away. "What's behind that?" he asked, pointing. Zara turned sharply. "That room is off limits. Never touch it. Never ask about it." Jake raised his hands. "Got it, no problem." He placed his bag in the spare room. It smelled of old metal and alien herbs. The furniture was strange, but he didn't complain. After all, this was better than sleeping in spaceports and hiding from bounty hunters. They sat across from each other at the small dining table. Zara watched him closely. "How did you get here?" she asked. Jake hesitated. "It's a long story. I escaped from Earth, or what's left of it." Her eyes narrowed. "Earth still exists?" He nodded slowly. "Not as you remember it. The cities are gone. The sky is black. And the only ones left are those who know how to hide." Zara said nothing. She stood up and made some tea-green liquid that bubbled and hissed. She handed him a cup. He took a sip and made a face. "Tastes like socks." She smirked. "Welcome to Viora 7. That night, Jake tried to sleep. But something felt wrong. The walls whispered. There was a hum in the air, low and strange, like an old machine working behind the walls. And then he heard it. His name, very soft, like a breath. Yuck. He sat up, heart pounding. The sound came from the locked door. He stared at it. The light above it flickered once. He stood up and walked toward it slowly. He pressed his ear to the cold metal. Silence. Then a thump, a soft one, like something or someone moving inside. He backed away. In the morning, Zara was already up. She looked at him with unreadable eyes. "Did you sleep well?" she asked. Jake forced a smile. "Yeah, fine." She tilted her head. "You heard it, didn't you?" He didn't answer. He just looked at the door. She placed her cup on the table and said calmly, "That room is dangerous. Promise me you won't open it." Jake nodded slowly. But deep inside, he knew he couldn't leave it alone. Something inside that room was calling him, and whatever it was, it knew his name. Asterisk Jake couldn't stop thinking about the door every time he passed it. In the hallway, he felt a strange pull, like gravity pulling him sideways. It didn't make sense. It was just a locked room, right? But it felt alive, like it was breathing when no one was looking. Zara avoided it like it didn't exist. She walked past it with blank eyes and never looked at it. But Jake noticed. Little things, scratches near the floor, like something had tried to claw its way out or in, and sometimes late at night, the door would hum softly. Just for a second. The next morning, over breakfast, Jake asked the question again. What's in the room? Zara's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. She looked up, her eyes suddenly cold. I told you before, she said. That room is off limits. But why? It's not safe. Jake leaned forward. You keep saying that, but you live here. If it's dangerous, why not leave? Why not destroy it? Zara stood up without answering. She walked to the sink and washed her bowl in silence. The conversation was over. Again, that night, Jake couldn't sleep. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, listening. The quiet buzz of the apartment systems. The faint wind outside brushing against the glass panels. Then, there it was, a soft whisper. Jock. He sat up. His door creaked open, just a little, like it had been pushed. But there was no one there. He stood up slowly, heart thumping in his chest, and stepped into the hallway. The air felt thicker. The lights were dimmer. The whole apartment suddenly seemed distant. He walked to the locked door. It wasn't humming this time. It was quiet, still, but as he touched the doorknob it was cold, freezing cold. Ice spread over his fingertips. Suddenly, Zara's voice came from behind him. Don't. He turned. She was standing in the dark, no light on her face, her silver eyes glowing faintly. You shouldn't be near it, she said. Jake pulled his hand back. What is it? There's something in there. It knows my name. Zara didn't move. I told you, it's dangerous. I don't care. You owe me the truth. Silence. Then very quietly she said, You're not the first human who came here. Jake blinked. What? Zara walked past him, sat on the couch, and stared into space. 5 years ago, she began, another human arrived at this door. A girl. Her name was Kara. She had the same questions, the same curiosity. I let her stay. We became close. Jake sat across from her, listening. One day, she opened that door. Zara's hands tightened into fists. She didn't come out. Jake's mouth went dry. What happened to her? Zara shook her head. I don't know. I heard screaming. I tried to break the door. It was sealed from the inside. For 3 days, the lights flickered. The air was thick, then everything went quiet. I opened the door. She looked at him, eyes filled with something between fear and pain. No one was there, just a chair and a mirror. Jake leaned forward. What's behind the mirror? I don't know. I've never touched it. After Kara vanished, I sealed the room. I posted warnings. I never let anyone else stay here again. Then why me? Zara looked away. Because you remind me of her. The next few days were quiet. Zara barely spoke. Jake stayed away from the door. But his dreams grew stranger. He saw Kara, a girl he'd never met. She stood inside the mirror, calling him. Behind her, shadows moved. Faces without eyes, hands without fingers. The whispers grew louder each night. Come to me. One day, Jake found something under the couch while cleaning. A small cube like a data recorder. He clicked it on. A hologram appeared, flickering with static. It was Kara. If you're seeing this, I'm probably gone, she said. Her voice was shaky. The room, it shows you things you've lost. It knows your past. It knows what you regret. Don't listen to it. Don't believe what you see. She looked scared, but if you're human, you need to go inside. There's something in the mirror, a signal, a message. I think it's from Earth. The message cut off. Jake stared at the cube, heart racing. He had to go inside, not for curiosity, not even for Kara, but because he needed to know the truth. About Earth, about what happened to his people. He waited until night. Zara was asleep. In her room, Jake walked quietly to the locked door. He held the keycard he had secretly copied earlier that day. The scanner blinked. He hesitated. Then he swiped it. Beep. Door unlocked. The door creaked open slowly. The room was dark, lit only by a single blue light above the mirror. It wasn't dusty. It wasn't old. It looked like it had been waiting. Jake stepped inside. The mirror was tall, smooth, and perfectly clean. But his reflection wasn't normal. He saw himself, but younger, a child. And behind the child was his mother. She smiled. "You finally found me." Jake's hands shook. He turned around. No one was there. He looked back at the mirror. His mother was still smiling. Then the mirror shimmered. And he heard Kara's voice, whispering, "Don't forget who you are." Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him, and the mirror began to move. Zara woke with a sudden chill. Her heart raced, her skin cold like ice. Something was wrong. Very wrong. She rushed out of her room, her feet light on the floor. The hallway was dark, silent. The lights near the forbidden store were off, but the lock was green. Unlocked. Her chest tightened. "No," she whispered, running to the door. She tried to open it, but it wouldn't move. Locked from inside. Again. She pressed her head against the door, listening. Silence. But she could feel it. That strange presence. Alive again. Inside the room, Jake stood frozen. The mirror before him shimmered like liquid glass. His reflection changed again and again. A boy, a soldier, a prisoner, a broken man. Then, his mother. She stepped forward. From the mirror, not in flesh, but like a ghost made of memory. "Jake," she said softly. He knew it wasn't real. He had seen his mother die on Earth when the sky turned red and the cities burned. But here she was, calm, smiling. "I missed you," the mirror mother said. Jake shook his head. "You're not her." The mirror darkened. The face twisted into something else. Kara. Her voice was a whisper inside his head. "Run before it sees you." And then the mirror cracked. Not broken, but split, like a door opening inside itself. Behind it, darkness. And a pulse, like a heartbeat. Thump. Thump. Jake stepped back, but the room had changed. No door behind him. Only the mirror. Only the sound. Something ancient was watching him. Then everything stopped. A bright flash, and silence. Jake woke up outside the room. He was lying on the floor. The door behind him locked once again. Zara sat beside him, watching. Her eyes weren't angry, they were scared. "What did you see?" she asked. Jake sat up slowly, rubbing his head. "My mother." Kara, a pulse, like something alive. Inside that mirror, Zara lowered her eyes. "You weren't supposed to go in." "I had to." Silence filled the room. Heavy silence. Zara stood up and walked to the window. The stars above Viora 7 shone cold and distant. "I guess you deserve the truth now," she said. Jake nodded. "Yeah, I think it's time." Zara didn't speak for a long while. Then she said something Jake never expected. "I'm not fully alien." Jake looked confused. She turned her head, silver eyes serious. "I'm half human." He blinked. "Wait, my mother was human. My father was Vioran. They met during the early years of the human expansion, before the war, before everything burned." Jake sat up straighter. "But humans and aliens can't, they're not supposed to," she said. "But they did." She walked to a drawer and pulled out an old photo. A smiling woman with brown skin, short black hair, and warm eyes. Standing next to her was a tall, blue-skinned man with 4 fingers and silver tattoos. "That's my mother and father," Zara said softly. "They kept me hidden when the war started. My mother, she died protecting me. My father sent me away to Viora 7 before he was captured." Jake looked at the photo, stunned. "Your mother? Looks like someone I knew. She was part of the resistance," Zara added. "She believed humans weren't gone. That someday someone would return, that someone like you would come back." Jake stared at the mirror door. "And that room?" Zara's voice lowered. "It's not just a room. It's a gate. To where?" "I don't know," she said. "Somewhere in between worlds, between memory and reality. It reacts only to humans. That's why Kara went in." "That's why you heard voices." Jake frowned. "You mean it's a human-made device?" She nodded. "Buried under this building. For years, I only discovered it after I moved in. The apartment was built on top of an ancient human beacon." Jake's mind raced. So that's what Kara meant in her message. The signal. The mirror is part of a message system. Zara looked him in the eye. "Yes, but it's more than that. It doesn't just show memories. It tests you. It pulls your guilt, your pain, your past. If you're not strong, it breaks you." Jake shivered. "That's what happened to Kara," Zara nodded. "I think so. She didn't survive the test." He stood up, determination in his voice. "Then I need to go back, and this time I won't run." Zara grabbed his arm. "No, you're not ready. The mirror doesn't just react to your mind, it learns from it. If you go in too soon, it will become your worst enemy." Jake looked at her, confused. "Then what do I do?" Zara stepped back. "You train. You learn how to control your emotions, your memories. Only then can you face it again." Jake took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Teach me." For the next few days, Zara taught Jake VR and meditation, a way to calm the mind and focus memory. They trained on the rooftop, under the stars, surrounded by silence. She showed him how to face his past without fear, how to accept loss without drowning in it. Jake remembered his childhood, his parents, the fall of Earth, the fire, the screams. The day he left on the escape ship. Alone. And slowly, the fear faded. He didn't forget. But he stopped running. One night, during training, he asked her, "Why help me?" Zara looked at him, then at the stars. "Because if you succeed, you might find Kara, or what's left of her, and maybe." "Maybe what?" "You'll help me understand who I really am." Jake nodded. "Then I won't fail." But they were not alone. Somewhere in deep space, something received a signal. An old human signature. ACTIVATED. Red eye opened. Human presence detected. Activating bounty protocol. Zara and Jake didn't know it yet, but they were no longer hiding. They were being hunted. The night sky over Viora 7 was clear, filled with stars that didn't blink. The rooftop was quiet, except for the soft hum of power lines. Jake sat cross-legged, breathing slowly. Zara stood nearby, watching him with careful eyes. He was getting better, stronger, calmer, but something still pressed on her mind. Something she hadn't told him yet. Jake opened his eyes. "I saw her again. Kara, in the mirror." She didn't speak this time. Just looked sad, like she's waiting. Zara sat down beside him. "She probably is, trapped between memory and reality." Jake turned to her. "What if I fail again? What if the mirror eats me like it did her?" Zara looked into the distance. "Then I'll go after you." Jake smiled. "You'd do that?" She nodded slowly. "You're not just some stranger anymore. You're something more." Jake wanted to say something back, but before he could speak, a sharp sound pierced the silence. Beep, beep. Warning alert from the wall console inside the apartment. They rushed downstairs. Zara scanned the screen. Unknown ship entering orbit. She said, "Small, fast, no ID, no beacon." Jake frowned. "What does that mean?" Zara's face went pale. "It means someone's found us." In a hidden corner of the galaxy, a bounty hunter received his target update. A new mission. Subject: human. Male. Code: JM17. Status: alive. Reward: 4 million galactic credits. The hunter smiled. His claws clicked against the screen. "Finally," he growled. "A real hunt." Zara paced the room, thinking fast. Jake stood by the window, looking up at the stars. "They found me," he said quietly. "I knew this would happen. I should have never come here." Zara shook her head. "It's not just you. It's me too. We're both targets now." Jake turned. "Why you?" Zara hesitated. Then she walked to her shelf and opened a hidden panel. Inside was a small glowing orb. She placed it on the table. "What's that?" Jake asked. She took a deep breath. "My mother left it. It's a human data core, one of the last ever made." Jake blinked. "From Earth?" She nodded. "Before she died, she told me to protect it, to never let anyone find it." Jake leaned closer. Inside the orb, blue lines danced like stars. "What's in it?" Zara hesitated. "The truth." She touched the orb. It lit up, and a soft voice began to speak. "To anyone who finds this, I am Commander Lyra of Earth Resistance Unit 12. If you're hearing this, humanity still has a chance." Jake's heart pounded. This data core contains records of the last human colonies. Hidden, alive, waiting for a signal to return. "If you're human, you must find them. You are not alone." The recording ended. Jake stared at the orb. "There are others?" he whispered. Zara nodded. "I always hoped. I never had proof. Until now." Jake's voice was quiet. "Why? Didn't you show me this before?" "Because I didn't trust you," she said honestly. "But now, I do." Jake sat back, staring at the orb. "This changes everything." But the moment of peace didn't last. The building shook. Lights flickered. The ground trembled. Boom! Zara grabbed her weapon. "They're here." Jake followed her to the door. Outside, a sleek black ship hovered above the street, red lights. Scanning the apartment, a tall figure dropped from the ship. Half metal, half beast, 2 glowing eyes. A bounty hunter known only as Cran. He raised a device. Target located. Human subject confirmed. Zara fired a warning shot. "Leave now." She shouted. Kran laughed. "That human is worth more than your life, alien. Step aside." Jake stepped forward. "You want me? Come get me." Cran aimed. The gun fired. Zara pushed Jake down just in time. The shot missed and blasted a hole in the wall. They ran. Inside the apartment, Jake grabbed the orb and stuffed it into his pack. Zara opened a hidden hatch in the floor. "This way," she said. "Old escape tunnel." They dropped into the tunnel just as the bounty hunter smashed through the wall upstairs. Darkness swallowed them. The tunnel was narrow and cold. Lights blinked weakly along the walls. "Where does this lead?" Jake asked, breathing hard. "Outskirts. My old ship, if it still works." They ran, fast and quiet. Behind them, Cran followed. The tunnel ended. At a wide underground chamber, a small silver ship sat in the center, dusty old, but still intact. Zara ran to the controls. Jake looked around. "What now?" "We fly," she said. The ship powered up slowly. Engines hummed. Lights flickered. But Cran appeared at the entrance. Gun raised. Zara fired. This time the shot hit his shoulder, sparks flying. He roared in anger and dropped back. Zara shouted, "Get in." Jake jumped inside. The hatch closed. The ship lifted. As they rose into the sky, Cran fired one last time but missed. The stars opened before them. Hours later, safe in deep space, Jake stared out the window. I never thought I'd be flying through space with a half-human alien. Being hunted by metal monsters, Zara smiled weakly. Welcome to my world. Jake opened his bag and took out the orb. Those human colonies, if they're out there, we have to find them. Zara nodded. And the mirror. It's part of that. A beacon. Maybe the others are connected. Jake looked at her. You really believe I'm the one who can find them? Zara didn't hesitate. Yes, you're not just any human, Jake. You're special. You survived what others couldn't. You saw the mirror and lived. That means something. Jake looked back at the stars. Then we need to finish what my people started. Zara touched the orb. We will. But somewhere in the shadows of space. Cran's ship followed silently. And far beyond them, a signal had been sent. To the ancients, the creators of the mirror. And they were waking up. Asterisk. The stars blurred into long white streaks as Zara's ship jumped into hyperspeed. Inside, Jake gripped the edges of his seat, heart still racing. His body felt heavy, his mind even heavier. He was now a hunted man. Behind them, the bounty hunter Cran had followed. And he wouldn't stop until Jake was captured. Or dead. Zara leaned over the control panel, eyes sharp. We'll reach the abandoned space station in 4 hours, she said. It's off-grid. No signals, no scans. We can rest there. Maybe find help. Jake nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. He looked down at the glowing orb in his lap. The human data core. Inside it were clues, maybe even the location of the last surviving human colonies. The idea felt too big, too dangerous. And yet, it was the only hope left. I still don't understand, he said softly. Why me? Why are they hunting me like I'm special? Zara gave him a look. Because you are. Jake raised an eyebrow. You keep saying that. She stood and walked to the back of the ship. Then it's time I show you. In the back chamber, she opened a sealed compartment and pulled out a flat silver device. What's that? Jake asked. Zara placed it on the table. A VRN genetic scanner. It reads your DNA, memory markers, neural data, all of it. Jake narrowed his eyes. You scanned me? Twice, she said. The moment you arrived, and again after you survived the mirror. Jake crossed his arms, and Zara tapped a few keys, and a screen lit up. It showed his DNA strand. But parts of it glowed red. You've been enhanced, she said. Jake blinked. What does that mean? Someone changed you. Maybe before you were even born. Your genes have markers, old human tech signatures. Bioengineering, rare, illegal, forgotten by most. Jake sat down, stunned. But I never felt different. Zara leaned forward. That's the point. You weren't supposed to. But you're stronger than normal. Your mind adapts fast. Your body resists alien energy. That's why the mirror didn't destroy you. Jake rubbed his face. So, I'm a science experiment? Zara smiled gently. You're the future of your kind. The ship dropped out of hyperspeed near a large gray shadow, a broken space station, floating in. Silence. Metal beams stuck out like ribs. Lights flickered weakly. Zara guided the ship to a docking bay. This place used to be a trade point. Now it's empty, ghosts and junk. Jake followed her through the docking tunnel. The air inside was thin. Dry, dust floated like snow. They walked through broken doors, past flickering signs, rusted pipes, and old graffiti in alien languages. Why here? Jake asked. Zara pointed toward a sealed chamber. There's a human archive terminal inside. My mother used it to leave messages. Maybe coordinates. They entered a dark room filled with metal shelves and cracked screens. At the far end, a small glowing panel still worked. Zara activated it. The screen buzzed. Then, A familiar voice spoke. "If you're seeing this, I am Lyra, and you are part of the future." It was Zera's mother. Jake stood silently as the hologram appeared. "This message is for human survivors. If you carry the data core, connect it now." Jake placed the orb into the slot. The screen changed. A star map lit up bright with colors. Encoded signals. "We scattered 3 human colonies, hidden on dead worlds, waiting, safe." The map zoomed into 3 glowing points. One in the ash belt, one under the ocean planet Varese, one in cryosleep. Jake's eyes widened. "They're real." Zera smiled. "You found them. If you reach the cryosleep vault," the message continued, "you may wake the last generation. But beware. The ancients know." The screen blinked. The map faded. Zera's voice dropped low. "They're waking up too." Suddenly, alarms rang across the station. Intruder detected. "Incoming ship." Zera and Jake looked at each other. "Cran," she whispered. They ran, outside the window. The bounty hunter's black ship approached, silent and fast. Cran stepped onto the station floor, weapon in hand. His red eyes scanned the room. "Nowhere left to run, human," he growled. Jake and Zera slipped behind a wall of crates. Jake whispered, "We can't fight him." Zera whispered back, "We don't have to, we just need time." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small blinking device. "A pulse bomb. Will fry his sensors for 10 seconds. Jake grinned. "That's enough," Zera counted. 3, 2, 1. She tossed the device. Boom. The flash blinded the hunter. Sparks flew. He roared in rage. Jake and Zera ran full speed down the corridor, toward the ship. Behind them, Cran recovered and followed faster, louder. The blast doors closed just as they reached the docking bay. Zera shouted, "Start the engine." Jake jumped in and activated the ship's system. The ship powered on. Cran fired a shot. It hit the wall beside Jake's head. Zera returned fire, blasting Cran backward just long enough for the hatch to shut. The ship launched back into space, breathing heavily. Jake leaned back in his seat. That was too close. Zera nodded. "He won't stop. We need to reach the first colony. Fast." Jake stared at the stars ahead. "The one in the ash belt. It's closest." Zera turned the ship. As they jumped into hyperspeed again, Jake touched the orb gently. "So many of us hiding, frozen, forgotten." Zera looked at him. "But not anymore," Jake nodded. "If we find them, we can bring humanity back." Zera smiled. "And maybe find who you really are." Jake looked at her. "What if I don't like the answer?" She shrugged. "Then make a new one." Outside, the stars shifted. The galactic hunt had begun, and the last human had just become a spark of hope, or the reason for the galaxy's next war. Asterisk. The ship glided through the dark waves of space like a silent shark. Cold, focused, unseen. Jake sat near the window, watching the stars pass. His eyes looked tired, but his mind was wide awake. The map from the human data core played in his head like a dream he couldn't forget. 3 colonies, 3 hopes. And now, only one direction mattered: the ash belt. This part of the galaxy was dangerous. A field of broken planets, sharp debris, and drifting wreckage from ancient wars. Most ships avoided it. Few returned, but somewhere inside, a hidden human colony still slept. Zera entered the cockpit, holding a silver patch. "Put this on," she said. Jake raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" "Vioran pressure shield," she explained. "Radiation inside the ash belt is deadly, but your body might resist better than mine." Jake nodded and pressed the patch onto his neck. It clicked softly. Zera activated the ship's stealth drive. The stars outside blinked once and then disappeared. A black field surrounded the ship, hiding them from sensors and light. "We go dark now," she said. "No signals, no noise." Jake swallowed. "Let's find my people." The ash belt was like a floating graveyard. Millions of rocks, metal pieces, and broken ships moved slowly in all directions. The silence was terrifying. It felt like the galaxy had stopped breathing. Inside the ship, Zara whispered, "Keep your eyes open. This place eats travelers." Jake stared ahead. Then he saw it, a shape, a massive space station hidden inside a hollowed asteroid. No lights, no movement, just waiting. The scanner showed no signals. "No heat, no life. It's the colony," Jake said. Zara frowned. "Looks dead, or asleep." They landed on a quiet platform. A frozen sign above read in faded English, "New Eden." Unit 7. Jake stepped out, boots crunching on icy metal. The silence felt heavy. Asterisk inside. The halls were long and dark. The walls were covered in frost. Old posters of Earth hung crookedly, images of oceans, forests, and cities long gone. "This is it," Jake whispered. "They lived here." Zara's voice echoed softly, "Or still do." They reached a door marked Cryocamber 1. Jake entered a code from the data core. The door hissed and slid open. Inside, rows of capsules, hundreds, maybe thousands. Human faces frozen behind glass. Men, women, children, all sleeping. Jake stepped closer to one pod. A girl, maybe 10 years old, with red curls and a stuffed bear. Beside her, peaceful, silent. Tears filled his eyes. "These are my people." Zara placed a hand on his shoulder. "They've been waiting for someone like you." Jake looked at the console. Lights blinked. A message appeared. "Voice activation required. Human DNA confirmed. Begin wake-up protocol?" He hesitated. Zara looked at him. "This is your choice." Jake swallowed hard. He pressed the button. "Begin." Alarms rang. Lights powered on for the first time in decades. Steam rose from the cryopods. Machines came alive, one by one. The pods opened. A man gasped. A woman screamed softly. A boy cried. Jake stepped forward, hands raised. "My name is Jake Miller. I'm human. I came from outside. I brought hope." The people stared. Some backed away in fear. Some wept. Others just stood, confused. Then one old woman stepped forward. She looked at him closely. "You have your father's eyes," she said. Jake's heart stopped. "You knew my father?" "Jonas Miller," she said. "He helped build this place. He said one day his son would come. That you were meant for more." Zara watched silently. For the first time, Jake looked like he belonged. Later, in the colony's old control room, Jake sat with the leaders, survivors, engineers, medics, even children born in pods. They told stories of Earth's final days. How they escaped. How they entered cryosleep with the hope of one day returning. Jake shared everything. The mirror room. Kara, the bounty hunter, the colonies hidden across the stars. The people listened. And when he finished, the room was silent. Then one voice spoke. "You're the signal, Jake. The one that tells us it's time to rise again." Another added, "We can help you find the others." Jake stood up. "Then let's wake up humanity." But not far from the ash belt, a dark ship floated in silence. Cran sat inside, eyes locked on a blinking dot. A signal from New Eden. They woke up. He growled. He turned to his screen. "Prepare message to the ancients." Back at the colony, Jake sat alone in the observation deck. Zara entered quietly. "How do you feel?" "Like I'm standing between the past and the future." She sat beside him. "You know," Jake said, "I always thought I was just lucky to survive. But maybe I was built for something." Zara nodded. "You weren't just meant to survive. You were meant to bring others back." He looked at her. "What about you? You're half human. You belong too." She smiled softly. Maybe, or maybe I'm just the bridge. They sat in silence. Then Jake turned. Zara, I think I'm ready. For what? He stood, to go back into the mirror. Hours later, Jake stepped back onto Zara's ship with her beside him. In his hands, the core, now glowing brighter than before. Inside it, the updated star map. Coordinates for Colony 2, ocean planet Varese, underwater, deep, hidden. Jake looked at the stars ahead. This is just the beginning. Zara placed her hand over his. Let's finish what your people started. As the ship pulled away from New Eden, a soft pulse came from the cryocolony behind them. Thousands of humans. Now awake. Ready. But in the dark corner of the galaxy. The ancients stirred. Eyes opened. Machines activated, and a voice echoed across old wires. The last human has returned. Begin purge protocol. Asterisk space was no longer quiet. It trembled. All across the hidden corners of the galaxy. Something had awakened. The ancients. Not creatures, not gods, not living, but watching. Long ago, they built the mirrors. Machines that could see into the mind. And the soul. They had once worked with humans. Until fear changed everything. Now they had one mission. Erase the last human. Jake stood in the cockpit of Zara's ship. Eyes locked on the star map. Behind him, the colony he had just awakened knew. Eden was full of life. People were cleaning, talking, laughing, crying. After decades of sleep, hope had returned. But Jake wasn't smiling. The signal had gone out. Kr. The bounty hunter, had sent the location of New Eden to the ancients. And now, the galaxy would come hunting. We need to warn the others. Jake said. The two remaining colonies. Varese and the cryovault. We have to reach them before it's too late. Zara adjusted the controls. Varese is too far. And if the ancients move faster, we'll lose everything. Jake thought hard. Then, he looked at the data core, the glowing orb in his hand. There's a beacon, he said. A broadcasting device. It can send a message across the entire starfield. Zara turned slowly. A message to who? To everyone. To Earth, to the colonies, to anyone still listening. Zara frowned. Jake, Earth is gone. No, he said. Maybe. Broken, but not gone. Not if there's someone left to hear us. Their destination, the Arc Array, an ancient broadcasting tower hidden on a moon near the galactic edge. It was once used by explorers to communicate across light years, long abandoned. Forgotten. Perfect. They flew fast, silent, no signals, no contact. Just stars and danger all around. Jake spent the trip preparing his words. What would he say? How do you speak to a lost world? To people who think you're a ghost? But before they reached the moon, they saw it. A shadow, the ancient fleet, dozens of dark ships moving without sound. Like ghosts swimming through black water, they didn't need light, or heat, or sound. They were pure logic, pure fear, and they were headed to Earth. They're planning to finish what they started, Jake whispered. Zara's eyes filled with cold fire. Then we stopped them. They arrived at the Arc Array. The tower was massive, miles high, shaped like a needle stabbed into the moon's surface. Its surface was cracked, half covered in dust. But it still worked. Zara docked the ship, and they moved fast. Inside, the control room was dead. No lights, no power. But the core was still intact. Jake placed the orb into the center console. The room lit up in a soft glow. Broadcast channel open, the system said. Voice input required. Jake looked at Zara. You ready? She asked. He took a deep breath. I have to be. He stood before the transmitter, heart pounding. He closed his eyes and began to speak. This is Jake Miller, human. If you're hearing this, then you've survived. I bring you a message not of war, but of return. Humanity is not extinct. We are not broken. We are scattered but alive. We have survived ice, silence, and stars that forgot our names. And now we rise again. Zara watched him, tears in her eyes. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was a voice of history. A flame reignited. To the hidden colonies, hold on, we are coming. To those who hear this on Earth, you are not alone. We remember you. We remember home. We are coming back. He ended the message. The tower glowed brighter. Message transmitted across the galaxy. Old receivers sparked to life. Deep beneath the ocean world of Varese, humans opened their eyes. In the frozen vault on the edge of space, red lights turned green dot every hidden outpost. Heard it dot and far, far away. On Earth, buried under black skies and ruined cities, a screen lit up dot and someone whispered, Jake. But the moment of triumph didn't last. Zara screamed, they're here. The window turned red dot outside. The ancient fleet had arrived. Ships unfolded like spiders, sharp and cold. The main tower trembled. Lights dimmed. They're going to destroy the array, Zara said. We have to leave now. Jake nodded. Get to the ship. I'll follow. Zara hesitated. No, Jake, go. She ran. Jake pulled the orb from the console. As he turned to leave, the floor shook. A beam of light crashed down from the sky. Boom. The ceiling cracked. Fire spread. Jake fell. Zara reached the ship, heart pounding. Where's Jake? She shouted into the cum. Static. Smoke filled the tower. She grabbed a mask, ran back inside. Through flames, she found him on the ground, coughing, bleeding. Get up. She screamed, pulling him. I can't, he whispered. My leg. She didn't let go. Together, they reached the docking bay. The ship's eye locked on and opened the ramp. As they jumped in, another blast hit the tower. The arc array collapsed behind them, but the message was already sent. Hours later, they floated. In silence. Jake was weak but alive. His leg was wrapped in bandages. His eyes half shut, but he smiled. You did it, Zara said. You woke the galaxy, Jake chuckled, and lit a fire under the ancients. Zara sat beside him. We can't stop now, she said. We have to reach Varese, then the cryo vault. Jake nodded slowly. And then, Earth. Zara raised an eyebrow. You still believe in it? He looked at her, pain and hope in his eyes. Earth isn't just a planet. It's our heart, and no matter how far we fall, we always return to the heart. Zara leaned her head against his shoulder. We'll get there, she whispered, and far away, stars began to shift. All across the galaxy, humans were rising, some afraid, some ready. But one thing was clear. The last human was no longer alone.